Welcome to the Hall of the Guildmasters. This item that we are discussing today is going to involve a little bit of background story. So to start us off, this was a one-shot hosted by my compadre here. And this was actually the first one-shot that you ever ran, wasn't it? And,
it was pretty intimidating.
It was a lot of fun. So to start off, we were sort of like archaeologists or investigators that were excavators that we had just discovered. What would you say we discovered in the side of the mountain?
It was someone's keep that was carved into the side of the mountain. It was almost unnoticeable from the outside.
Right. And so it took a little bit of investigating. We had kind of a camp going on, and so we got into the side of the mountain, and it was pretty dark, and there was like, we went through an old dining room, and the creatures that we encountered in there, they weren't slime monsters, were they? They were like...
No, it was... They were almost like imps, but they were like mud imps.
Yeah, and so it was like they were trapping us, and like it was kind of scary. And they had like a stone fireplace, this great stone hearth in the middle of this giant stone dining room, and it was just like. And so as we're investigating through and going down deeper into this fort carved into a mountain, we came across I don't know if the goal necessarily was explained. It was more just kind of see what you can find and report back, I think.
Yeah, I made it as big as possible.
And so, did we have a guide with us? Or?
Yes, there's a man that wanted something in there.
That's right, because we were supposed to protect him.
Yes.
And we were like, okay, I'm figuring it out. Well, we came across an area where there was like these pillars that were like broken, that fell over, and we were able to like crouch and sneak under and get to the other side, but the guy wasn't, right?
Yeah, he didn't want to do that. He was way too afraid.
And so we got into an area where this guy was looking for this item, which we happened to find, which actually we'll have to do a different video on the other item we found in there.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
Which we will reference later. It was a mirror, but that's all we'll tell now. But anyway, so this item, though, this was the main item this guy was looking for. We were in the bedroom of whoever owned this fort, and it was dark, and there was this case on the side with this just wicked looking katana. And of course, I think I was playing like a fighter, and I was like, yeah, I want a cool sword. Let's go. So, and I took it, and I picked up the sword out of the case, and it was like kind of heavy, and I kind of slipped, and I hit the edge of the table, and it just gouged a giant chunk out of the side of the table, and it was like, oh geez, what the heck is this?
Yeah. So I asked him how he specifically picked it up, because if he touched the blade, that body part was going to be missing.
Yeah.
So it was pretty intense right off.
Yeah, I was like, by the handle, how else would you pick up a sword? You know, like, I'm not some, you're like, whoa, let's see what. No, I was like, yeah, I picked up by the handle. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, in the way that DMs do when they know something you don't. And I was like, what? So anyway, so we got the sword back to camp. And basically, this is definitely a magic item that is for higher level.
Yeah, it was a one-shot.
Yeah, it was a one-shot, so it was just like, hey, something cool. But this is definitely like a higher level, a super rare, legendary type item.
Yeah, this was my first homebrew item.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be something ridiculous.
Yeah.
That I could expand on.
That was awesome. It was terrifying. So, all right, so let's keep him. Let's not keep him in suspense any longer. You want to tell us about this sword?
I named it the Sword of the Imprisoned One. And essentially, it was a celestial god trapped in the sword. And he's very gluttonous for any kind of essence or life. So the stronger the life that you took, the bigger the chunk that you could take out of something. So the piece of the cabinet that he took out awoke this god, and it tried to talk to him, but he didn't speak celestial, so it was like a headache and rumbling in his head. And then he attuned with it for, I think, 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like whispered to him in like broken voice. So, and he grabbed it once again, and he shoved it into the ground, and it ate this like 15-foot cone.
Yeah.
It was like 3 foot wide into the ground.
Yeah, and so it was like, it looks like kind of like not exactly ornamental, but kind of like a darker like katana that had some. It was definitely. It wasn't like ornate or like jeweled. It was more of just like it had a nice. It had like a sleek, trim look to it.
Yeah, it was. Think of like an ebony color.
Yeah.
Or possibly something darker.
Yeah.
And while he was attuning to the sword, I gave him visions inside the dimensional space in this god's realm. And like what he saw were bodies and like whole halves of buildings just floating around him, almost like a slow tornado-ish. So like it gave him a sense of the space and how vast it was inside this.
And definitely, it kind of gave me the impression that, okay, whatever chunk I take out of something is going. But it was like the sword itself wasn't getting bigger. But I could was I able to tell the frame of how big of a section was cut out?
Yes, the wielder was able to tell how massive of an area he could take. So like if you took a demon's soul, like you could essentially like feel like I can make a canyon right now.
Yeah.
And just and it would just eat the earth, like it would just disappear at the blink of an eye.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily like the thing that was in the sword, the celestial god. It wasn't necessarily like it was good or evil. It was just like it was kind of like a neutral chaotic, if you want to put it in alignment terms. But it was basically like I just need to feed, and it was like cheese. No, I need to eat.
Yeah, he woke
People
it up.
know everything, just everything you feed me. And
when he woke it up, I made him realize that like if he didn't feed this thing, not on a daily basis, but if it didn't get fed, it would feed on his soul.
Yeah.
And slowly turn him to start killing whatever life force was around him.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, I'm the wielder of this, I gotta like feed it, but it wasn't like I'm just gonna keep stabbing the ground. It was like being able to cut giant things out of it was because I killed something that had this special soul or just a lot of energy. So if I killed a bunch of things that had a lot of energy, then I could activate this ability and be like, carve.
Yeah. So it was like a gauge. So he could eat like say 100 souls, 100 human souls, and then use it.
Yeah.
So we would equate it, and I would talk with him on how big this area was.
Yeah.
For 100 souls, that's quite a big life force.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would probably be like a whole building or something.
Yeah.
But like if you were going around stabbing squirrels for 6 days, I mean, it might have taken like a chair or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was an equatable amount of damage for what it could do.
Which is a very fun idea, especially like, talk with your DM if you want to implement this, and it's kind of up to the DM how they want to handle that. Do they is there a certain, do they want to put a restriction, or is it like, yeah, you just killed a dragon or you just killed like this big boss, I'll let you, maybe your gauge is up to 50%, or maybe like you can use this. And maybe there's tiers, like, you get to each tier and it's like a larger area you can consume. But maybe if you go so many days without killing anything,
it gave you one tier, but your life force is halved or something.
Yeah. And you could also make it to where like you had to attune to it. Maybe it's a cursed item where you have to go through a special quest to unattune to it.
Yeah.
Like you're now stuck with it, and maybe if you like throw it in a lake or something, like you wake up and it's there or something, like, oh jeez. Or maybe you get dreams of it like stabbing through your heart, consuming you, and then you wake up and it's like equipped to your belt, and it's like, oh, okay.
I definitely wanted to make it almost like a semi-cursed item.
Yeah.
Just because of that. Like, it was more or less like, if he didn't feed for the sword, he would have the need to feed it for him. So like, he would be like, I'm in a town, there's people right here, I need to...
Yeah, yes, it's like almost maybe the sword takes over you, depending on... Yeah, it's almost like, I think of like the Elder Scrolls, the vampirism, like the longer you go without it, the more you're like, and it's, that's, so maybe the sword just kind of does something on its own, or maybe even better yet, have the player roll a percentile when you're in a crowded area, every single, and then like maybe not tell them what percentage, or maybe tell them, it depends on how intense you want it, how mystic you want it, but like, don't let the other party members know, so they're gonna be like, what the flip is he? And then all of a sudden it's like someone's chatting with someone in a bar, and all of a sudden you just cut their arm off, and it's like, what? Oh no.
Maybe the sword craves a certain life force. Like humans or orcs, or maybe it only craves like demons.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's possible.
You could have definitely different. You could have different flavors of the sword too. Like maybe there's one that's specifically. You could have a campaign revolving around these two swords, and one was crafted to destroy demons, and one was crafted to destroy angels. You know, and maybe a final battle is like the conflict of the two wielders or something. You know, or you could have like a whole array of them made. You know, almost kind of like a Lord of the Rings style. There's a whole bunch of different. I don't know, but yeah, you could definitely have a lot of fun with how you wanted to implement an imprisoned god. And it doesn't have to be an imprisoned god. It could just be like maybe the sword just was gifted a mind of its own by its arcane creator, or maybe the arcane creator put themselves in the sword, or maybe there's some like backplay behind like why does this thing need to consume stuff, and maybe you can actually defeat it by like not giving it, like you can like somehow resist feeding it. Maybe you can uncurse the sword. I don't know.
My first thought when I made this was there was going to be a way that you could free this person from the sword.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, and he would have been, like, eternally grateful for you. And then he would have went, like, just zipped off and fought whoever.
Yeah, maybe they're cursed and it's like, I need to feed, you know, but then you get them out and it's like, oh my gosh, this is me again. Like, I was trapped in this prison and cursed to be always hungry.
Or they found the person while they were in sword form that entrapped them. So the sword took over that person's body and they instantly started fighting them in the middle of the town or the king's court.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like,
in the worst possible situation. Oh, man. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun thinking of that sword.
It was. It was fun using it for sure. It just makes you like, oh, I've got something cool, you know. So either way, you got anything else on that sword, or?
No.
All right. Well, definitely go down in the comments below. Let us know if you implement this sword, how you use it, some of the fun shenanigans that can happen from it, and check out the other videos in the RPG Ideas series, and stay tuned till next time.